Such an interesting.
Oh, we're starting soon. Okay.
Oh, okay. So should I bring up Mario Kart then?
If you want to.
Hey, is Carl going to be in commentary with us?
Depends. Does Carl have a list, or can he make?
I can make up a list as I go.
Carl, make a top 10 list in the next couple minutes of your top 10 favorite games of the 2010s, dude. Do it.
Sure. Wait. Hold on a sec.
I mean, my list took like about.
The criteria is that the games must have been released in the 2010s, from 2010 to 2019. Another criteria is that they should be games that you played in that decade. So not games that you played this year.
Oh, in that decade? Games
at least what I was doing with my list is that what I mean is that I only chose games that I played in the 2010s. For example, like I'm not going to take a game that I just played this year in 2020 and include it as one of my favorite games of the 2010s, because I'm more so thinking of like, you know, reflecting on the past decade. It's okay. I guess it's okay if you didn't necessarily do that with your list, because I didn't really specify that.
Only one game per franchise, I'm assuming.
Oh, if you want, I try to
Not
do one game.
necessarily.
Like,
I think I only have one game per franchise.
Yeah, I try to do one game
do
per franchise because to make it more fair.
1, 2, 3.
Smash Bros. Another Smash Bros. A third Smash Bros.
Yeah, it's like all my favorite games are just Smash Bros. This is my top 5. I don't have a top 2.
Smash Bros. DLC.
Smash Bros. DLC. Favorite character, Byleth. I'm gonna get my Pro Controller ready.
Okay, hold on.
I'm just gonna be playing on my gamepad.
Wait, gamepad?
The Switch gamepad, I mean, whatever you want to call it, the Switch console. I call it the gamepad, but...
And no.
Carl
okay, I'm sorry, okay, God, freaking...
God.
God, I don't know my games well enough, God.
Gosh darn it, guys.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me go ahead and bring it.
Don't worry. We got some time. I'm gonna give us till like a little bit, get ready with everything by like 10, so... Oh my gosh, my...
If you could just imagine the moment I hung up as me walking out and slamming the door.
If you only had a slamming the door sound effect.
We could use that so much. I wish the actual sound effect would play through the stream when somebody hangs up the call, because we could just totally mess with that.
I mean, I could. I have stream mode
just
on.
Get like a sound effect of somebody like hanging up a phone very loudly, like an old like rotary phone, just like a, you know.
AIM sounds.
As in like instant messenger, you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have
dude.
AIM. Like I actually don't have. I never used AIM, so I don't know the sounds of AIM.
I didn't either. Yeah. Well, just remember Emily is away, I guess.
True.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
But yeah, soon enough. I don't know if you heard this
whoops,
part of the
wrong
stream,
way.
Nick, where I said that I'll be playing Left on Red fair like the next time I stream, probably.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I looked up because I was just curious for the sake of stream planning. I just looked up on how long to beat, and the game's only like an hour long, so I can also potentially tie that into like a Vietnamese Crystal stream.
Yep. How close are you to finishing that?
Vietnamese Crystal?
Yeah.
We got the 7th gym badge last time. When we pick up on the next one, I'll be going through the ice path or whatever it's called.
Oh, okay.
In the last one, I did the 7th gym, which was actually a spook. Because that gym crashed my game like 10 times, which made the stream take a lot longer.
You know what I should really do is just buy a Labo kit for Mario Kart 8 and just try playing with that.
What's that?
Labo, just it's basically Nintendo's like, we have extra cardboard boxes. Let's use this for little kids and kind of make them as use motion controls.
Huh. But yeah, in Venus Crystal, so we did that gym, we beat Team Rocket, and I also caught Celebi at the end, because apparently, like, that exists.
I mean, it is in the code, so technically...
It's the Japanese version of the game, so the Celebi event is in there, so I caught it.
Oh, nice. Oh, what I should do is probably... I could buy the Mario Kart 8 steering wheel and see how that goes.
I thought that's what you were referring to when you said the name of that other accessory. I thought you were talking about, like, the steering wheel with the paddle or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Lissa.
Oh yeah, I forgot her name is fake.
Should we move to the other channel for the podcast, or like how should we go about this?
I think this is fine. I think for the most part.
I guess the alternative is just to ask the others to kind of like mute or just not talk over us or whatever.
Oh, Melissa joins and she can't talk anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing I was concerned about. I was like, well, shoot, now more people are joining. I feel rude telling them to be quiet. I mean, Lissa is fake digits, baby, so it's kind of like whatever. But
I still forgot her name was fake digits.
I forgot to change my nickname.
Yeah.
digits, baby, WTF? Well, I'm real digits, baby, Pika Pika.
Yeah, no, it's like I was like last time we were talking. It's like oh yeah, Lissa. It's like oh yeah, Lissa was like
podcast in progress.
she was like oh yeah it's like what happened to my name? It's like Kyle's like was waiting on stream just a couple minutes just to hear your reaction to it.
Yeah, I just waited. Like I just like had the stream open on my like iPad while I was just like I don't know, like making lunch or something, and like I just hear like it took like an entire 2 or 3 minutes later, and this is like, what? When did my name change? And I was just like,
I saw you on.
and she was like,
you
was
immediately
this
then got
Kyle?
off.
Did Kyle do this to me?
Because I didn't pay attention until she mentioned that.
Yeah, nobody noticed it for a couple minutes.
Well, I don't have, like, I'm just watching the stream, so I don't have Discord on, so I only look at it when someone types in chat.
AKA
But-
Emoto.
Yeah.
Oh,
I knew that was you, though. I saw you on, and then I saw you immediately get off.
Emoto, I don't think you did push to talk because Lissa's talking without pushing buttons, I believe.
I mean, I don't have, it's a setting, but I don't have push to talk as a setting.
Well, we're gonna do that. Hold on. Good.
Okay. Wait, do we have some time? Do
Yeah,
have,
we
like-
got some time. I'm just making sure.
Okay. Alright, give me a sec.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back.
The bathroom as soon as I get on.
Rude.
Please, pictures of screaming animals.
What?
They're under Luigi and Bowser.
Oh, that was some stuff that Carl found of like leaked SNES prototypes and like unseen sprites and things like that.
Interesting.
There's the guest of honor, Justin.
Ding. My goodness, Justin's never on this early.
Well, he's here for
Rare
an episode of
moment.
RetroBound Podcast as the special guest of the show. First time RetroBound
Okay.
appearance
So Justin's on. Interesting.
from
Carl,
Justin,
don't use
Jay
tilt
Walker.
controls.
I'm using tilt control.
Carl, do you have a list ready yet? In a few minutes.
I have my list. I just need to order it.
Just order it. Oh, wow, you already that
Justin,
fast.
your presence on RetroBound Podcast, bro. Justin's here. He's right. Go, dude. Justin is gonna outlist you so hard, bro.
Yeah, no, I have a list. I actually I was going through my list and I was just like, I have all these good games that I have played in the 2010s, as well as like some that aren't like. I actually, funny enough, I made like a top 20, but I have my top 10, but it's like I have 20 others that's like I really like these games kind of thing.
I have a few honorable mentions on mine.
I have a few honorable mentions on mine too. Actually,
Thing is,
I should say
out of the four of us, I'm the one who has by far the least number of 2010s games that I've actually played, and so my list will be kind of different.
Would you say so? No, actually, Justin played quite a bit, yeah, and I don't know about Carl.
You and Justin have had like more consoles of these generations than I've had, and have just in general played more games that have come out year by year.
Let's see. I had the Wii.
I
the Wii
spent
U,
a lot of time in
Switch.
high school and in college like playing retro games or like games that I missed out on when I was younger. So
I had 360. I had the PS4. and I have PC. So I guess like in my sense, I have 6 consoles from the 2010s that I have played.
You've definitely played a lot more games of that decade than I have, Nick. Look at your backloggery, dude.
I still have to add the thousands of ones from that itch.io. I'm still slowly getting through that. Carl, why are you and me a fist bumping together? I don't want to.
It's too bad I didn't play Order a Pizza, a visual novel until this year. That absolutely would have made my list.
Did you actually enjoy that game? I'm not too clear on that.
If you haven't watched the highlight, you should watch that. That was actually an interesting experience. Like, I just played that thinking it would be a fun, goofy little game, but both Grace and I were like, dude, what is this? It was like super trippy and weird.
Kyle, I'm just waiting for you to join in so we can get ready for this stuff.
Oh, in the Mario Kart?
Yeah, I have a lobby set up and everything.
Sorry, let me grab my Switch. I didn't realize you were loading the game up.
Oh, no, I had loaded. I was just waiting for you. Also, Carl, I'm using tilt controls.
Oh, now you're using it.
Are you guys gonna do a 200cc?
I mean, we could.
Yeah, you should.
Nick seems to want the most chaotic thing possible while we're doing our podcast.
200cc and mirrored.
Oh, that's gonna get Kyle so mad.
Oh yeah,
God, dude. All right, if we're doing this, then Lissa has to be a guest on a later episode where we also make her play something ridiculous.
We could do like let's see what she has to do on PC. I mean, we could do Tabletop Simulator. That one. Let's see.
those can get chaotic.
Jackbox is a little
we
bit too.
we haven't really
I don't
decided
know
what
all
our
the
next
games you
pod
can
would
do
be,
in
if
that.
anything. So.
And I have no idea how I'm going to explain all.
We have Bloody Trapland.
Oh yeah, we could do
That
that.
game was silly, dude. That game was silly.
I mean,
so
there's
silly,
there's
dude.
also Bloody Trapland 2.
Oh, I didn't know they came out with a second one.
Oh, there is a second one, and it is difficult, but it's so fun.
Am I doing the right thing if I just click on your name on my friends list, Nick, and
Yep.
like try to join you?
Yep, through Mario Kart 8, you should be able to do it immediately.
All right.
I'm just waiting for Kyle to get in. Oh, there. Kyle went through Carl's text box of I'm using tilt controls.
I charge you right through it, dude. I'm like, dude, you can't take over my show, dude.
All right, Kyle. Whenever you're ready, I'll switch over. Actually, I'll switch over right now. Hold on.
What about Justin? Is he not playing the game with us?
Justin, do you want to play Mario Kart 8 with us?
I don't even have Mario Kart 8.
Oh, okay, I was wondering that.
Oh, do you want me to change to push to talk?
I mean, Kyle, do you want everyone to be silent, or you want push to talk?
I guess push to talk is fine.
All right.
Whatever
Okay.
minimizes other voices while we're doing our thing.
Everyone, we can change the settings afterwards once this whole thing's done.
For a
Yeah.
second there, I thought Lissa was going to say, do you want me to switch to playing Mario Kart 8? And I was like, does she have Mario Kart 8 and we'll play in the place of
No.
Justin when Justin's the one talking?
No,
No, I would like to get one, but no, I don't even have a Wii U or anything like that.
a Wii U? Did you just say a Wii U?
A Switch. I don't have any of those platforms.
Gosh, you guys are being such know-it-alls about your Nintendo technology today. Jeez.
I mean,
I'm sorry. Do you
Lissa,
know what the Satellaview is?
Lissa, I can help you get a Switch. It's been going.
No, because
No,
I play
I-
real video games on the
I know.
Atari 5200.
You sure, Lissa?
With that
I'm
piece of
fine.
crap controller?
I have the money for one, but I'm more concerned right now about moving out first.
Dude, Carl, come back to me when you're talking about Sega 32X games, bro.
No. Sega 32X CD games.
Oh, we're going there, dude. It's all about this, the Philips CDI, man.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
For the 3DO.
Oh no! All right, I will switch over to the
Neo
screen.
Geo, baby.
Okay,
TurboGrafx.
you can push to talk.
All right, go for it.
All right.
And then Kyle.
Freaking Leapster, dude.
Sir.
Wow.
No, dude, the plug and play games, dude. Those were the jam.
I'm expecting some rage, so.
Oh, I will put it on the
Don't
hardest with
disappoint.
the most chaotic items. How about that? Just for you,
Oh
Lissa.
yeah.
Just for
All
you.
the blue shells.
All right, Nick, do you want to be the one who like gets the bit started once we're
Yep.
getting the highlight section established?
Yep.
can-
I
you
will.
can do the intro.
I'll do like a countdown from 3, 2, 1, and then I'll do it. So whenever everyone's ready, and we're good.
Okay.
Everyone's ready?
Okay.
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome back to RetroBound Podcast. My name is Blazer Gamer, also known as Nick Kim, and we are here gonna be talking with our top 10 video games of 2010. But first, let's introduce the co-commentators. As usual, I have Kyle with me.
I'm Kyle, also known as twitch.tv/JudsBB.
And then for our guests today, we got the one, the only, Justin. And then,
Intro.
yeah. And then we also got Carl, also known as Fanto Yoshi VR. Hello,
I
Carl.
believe I could have done. Hello. I believe I could have done my own.
No, you can't. You can't do your own intro.
Yes, I can.
No, okay.
I'm using tilt controls.
Yeah, so we have guests today. That's a plural because we were originally gonna have Justin as being the single guest of the show today, but Carl said that he could join and play Mario Kart 8 with us, and so we made him make his own top 10 list within like a 10-minute span.
No, aka
God.
Carl just invaded our personal privacy and it's like,
So,
dude,
yeah,
I want to
well,
join in.
As it goes with the reboot of this show that we're doing, we'll be doing our podcast discussion while playing games from here on out. And so I was like, hey Nick, why don't we do like a super low-key, chill, easy game that we can play while we're having our important discussion on the podcast? And Nick was like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I was like, cool, man. So that's what we're playing today. On the hardest settings possible as dictated by Lissa.
Lissa is the judge of everything. All right, let's get this started. And once the race starts, we are gonna do like our top 10 list, starting from me, then Kyle, then Justin, then Carl, and we're gonna go in that order until we get to our number 1.
Yeah, I guess we didn't establish what kind of list we're doing, right?
Yeah,
So,
I did mention to briefly, we are doing a top 10 our top 10 games from the 2010s. So this is going to be like basically from any game that was released within 2010s are fair game to us, but for reference's sake, these are games that each one of us have played. Some of us have played more games than others, and we have like a wide variety. So, and these are our own personal favorites. So if your game didn't get on, there's probably a good chance that we either never played it or we just didn't like it as much as the others.
Yep. So it's just a chill recap of the last decade. Nick and I had this idea like from the beginning of this year, but haven't really had the chance to get around to doing these podcasts until now. So it's kind of a recap of 2010 through 2019, our personal favorite games from that decade.
Oh, yep. All right. So once we start the race, let's just get on with the first of the list.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to start the race right now. And then we're going to pick our first race, and I'll start with my first game that I consider on my top 10 list, my number 10 game.
Number 10.
So first off, I'm going to be picking a classic from Mario Kart Wii, Grumble Volcano. Hey, it fits with the 2010s.
That came out in 2008.
Okay, never mind. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I was like, what?
No.
At first, I thought you were saying Mario Kart Wii was your number 10, and I was like, check your dates, bro.
All right. All right.
With
With this start, I think I'll start with my top number 10. So my number 10 on my list is actually Terraria, funny enough. It came out in 2011, and I guess it's like my biggest reason for it being like on my list is just because of all the memories I've had playing the game with basically everyone from Stack 8, actually. And also recently almost like completing the game as of this recording. So honestly, I just have a lot of memories, and it's been updated until like just a little bit ago, and then it stopped being updated. So overall, I still like the amount of content and the gameplay aspects of the game. But yeah, that's my number 10. Kyle?
Good lord, this game is going to be so hard to play while doing our thing. Alright, so my number 10 on my list is actually not really a game, but it's like a mod or like a software, which is the Pokemon Universal Randomizer. Because this software was released sometime in the early 2010s, from what I can tell. It's hard to pin down an exact date that the randomizer is released, but I consider it to be a game of the 2010s in kind of a unique way, because it's something that gives kind of a unique twist on games that we grew up with. So playing, like, I've had a lot of fun playing some of the early generations of Pokemon games with like randomized Pokemon, or like with metronome only movesets and things like that. It's kind of an interesting twist on games from past decades. So I decided to throw that on here. I think randomized games are pretty fun, but like the Pokemon series is really the only set of games that I can really do with a randomizer. Like, I'm not as familiar with Super Metroid or Link to the Past, so like doing randomizers for those it would be a lot more difficult for me to do. But with Pokemon, it's a pretty fun experience, and it's something we've tried on streams a couple times as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, Carl, you're up. No, Justin.
Okay.
Justin.
No, it's Justin. Wait time.
I already distracted myself.
The planned guest.
Okay. So, yeah. Let's see. My number 10 actually is very fitting because its anniversary, 1-year anniversary, is within less than 2 hours from now. Fire Emblem Three Houses released a year ago, and I think, well, it's got a lot of good reception online, and just from celebrating how the series has come from it hasn't been on a console since back on the Wii with Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, and being able to combine the versatility of being able to actually teach everyone how you want to configure their skills, their abilities, but also be able to keep it modern with how the in a way persona aspects of being able to maintain a day-to-day lifestyle somewhat. And I just thought it was a great way to bring the series in a new direction in a way that also respected its roots by in a way taking out the weapon triangle, and just in a lot of ways the game has done things differently but also maintained its core values.
Nice. That's interesting. I still need to complete that game, so that's definitely going to be on my list of things to do. All right, Carl, you're up.
Right. So my first game is actually Pokemon X. The reason for it is actually because it's my first Pokemon game that I actually completed. I never played a Pokemon game before that, and I thought it was actually a really nice experience. So, really, like, it's not really because of the 3D models. I just felt like the gameplay was fun. Like, as a first-timer, I thought it was extremely fun to play. And I think it's because of how easily accessible the game is. So, what else? Honestly, there's not much to this decision. Like, I honestly just enjoy the game, like, from a casual standpoint. That's pretty much it. Sorry if mine's a bit short, but
No,
it was pretty much.
You're good.
No, good.
That is okay.
All right. Well, since with that, we're going on to our number 9. And with my number 9, well, it's similar to Terraria. It's actually Minecraft, for one thing.
Ooh, wait, Minecraft? Does it count?
Yeah, Minecraft was...
Yeah, it was officially released in 2011, right?
Yeah, officially released in 2011. It was released a little bit earlier because of, like, betas and stuff, but it was officially released around, like, the early 2010s. I looked this up, so it does technically count in that regard. This is... The reason why it's on my list is still the same reason why I put Terraria on my list, is because of... I played this a lot in high school with some friends, and now that it's been a while, I lost contact with basically 99% of them. But I still have a lot of great memories. I had a lot of fun. But the reason why I put it higher than Terraria is because of the amount of support, the modding, the servers, a lot of things like maps and everything. Like, a lot of things, like, I never got to, like, I never seen like Terraria support with, and so I enjoyed it a lot more in that regard because it just has a lot more fan creations and just a lot more fun. Also, I enjoyed it watching on YouTube a lot back in the day. A lot of people making custom maps and mods. So yeah, that's my reasoning. All right, Kyle.
I enjoy being in first place for like 2 seconds there. All right. All right, then my number 9 on my list. This is kind of the point where it becomes obvious that I've not played as many video games in this decade as the other people present. But the number 9 on my list it's a stack hit classic. It's Tomodachi Life on the Nintendo 3DS. So Tomodachi Life is a game that I've never actually owned myself, but we played it a lot on Nick's 3DS, especially. Well, Nick's been playing it a lot on stream recently too, but we played it a lot on Nick's 3DS when we were living in a dorm together, and it's basically a virtual life game where you can make Miis of people and insert them into the game and have all sorts of crazy adventures together. I think one thing that made the game a lot of fun for us and add a lot of the humor is that we didn't like look up anything about the game and spoil things for ourselves as we were like discovering stuff. So finding funny things like the goofy animations when you give a character their favorite food, or like finding out that divorces can happen in that game, all this like goofy character interaction with stuff that we kind of experienced like blindly as we like played the game from day to day. So it results in a lot of inside jokes, a lot of disputes, and it actually kind of solidified the friendship of a lot of the people in this group, actually, because a lot of the people that are in this Discord group that we use right now are people who kind of became part of the group when Nick added them to Tomodachi Life. That's how you make friends for all the Zoomers out there. You just like add a Tomodachi, you had a me of them into Tomodachi Life, and that's how you establish friendships.
It's true, kids.
The next gen pinky swear.
Yeah. All right. Well, Justin, what do you got?
My number 9 goes also to the other end of the timeline with the original Xenoblade Chronicles, which was first released back in Japan in 2010. As many people know, the definitive edition came out a few months ago. Right now, currently it's July. Yeah, and I was first introduced to it on a whim, and I never really... I dabbled in, like, action RPGs, but never to the extent that Xenoblade Chronicles did. It had the arts cooldown system, it had very different playable character playstyles, and very much captured you in the world that... and made you... how do I put it? There's a war going on, and the story very much puts you in the midst of it, and you get to see what's going on in people's lives getting impacted from the get-go, and it's a very compelling story that, for me, was very easy to just clock hours in, which for a first time, for like my first time playing the game, felt very satisfying and rewarding.
Wasn't I the one who introduced you to that game? I don't know. Because I did buy that on the whim.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. Oh, God. All right. Well, Carl, what you got for us?
Okay, so my next game, believe it or not, I'm just gonna come up with a surprise. It's gonna be Smash Ultimate.
I don't believe it.
So the reason being is because... let me get it with the goods. So the goods, first of all, it's the first game to include like pretty much everyone and not leave anyone out. It has, I think, the best classic mode throughout the whole entire series, and in terms of competitive stuff, I actually love what's it called, I love the stage hazards off, like selection and stuff like that. Pretty much like the amount of customization that you can do in the game is amazing. But the reason why I put it so low on my list is because there's just like there's not much depth in terms of its mechanics, I feel. And so as a result, I don't really play it as much. as say Smash 4 or something like that, because that game had a bit more mechanics, even though it didn't exactly have the most features. So yeah, that's pretty much my reason.
Okay, cool. That's an interesting one. All right, as we go into our, I think this is our 5th race. Let's go with our top number
This is our
8.
4th race.
4th race? Okay. Well, number 8 on my list, starting
Oh, right, right.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Oh, yeah. Going on the number 8, I have Portal 2 as my next game. I
2011.
actually, okay, so funny enough, I never heard of Valve or was interested in any game other than maybe Portal that I heard every once in a while. And I actually never bought Portal 2. I was given it as a gift from a high school friend back in the day on like a free copy. And it was my very first Steam game. But when I played it, I originally thought that you can never make a story out of what a Portal was from what I known. And after playing it, after like learning all the mechanics and everything, I actually fell in love with it a lot, and I thought it was like a really great game, as well as a really it was actually a pretty good story. I enjoyed every character. I loved all the dialogue. I love all the puzzles. I honestly think it's definitely one of those games that I put close to my heart because of just how much I enjoyed it as young. And I just recently replayed it. So it's definitely one of those games that I have a lot of fun looking back to every once in. Oh, Lyle! And yeah, that's my list. All right, Kyle, go for it.
All right, well, Nick just experienced an extreme case of constipation, so I think I'll have to take over and read my number 8. So, my number 8 game, speaking of Stack 8 memories, is none other than Nintendo Land for the Wii U, which, Nick will remember I put this as my number 1 game in our multiplayer games episode.
Yep.
Because Nintendo Land is Nintendo Land has single-player stuff as well that you can do, but I think it's a really solid multiplayer game because, for one thing, it's very accessible. Like, games like Smash Brothers have kind of a learning curve for people who have never played a game like that before, but Nintendo Land is the kind of thing where, like, random people who walked into our dorm could just, like, join us for rounds in Nintendo Land, and there's a pretty fun variety of, like, fun multiplayer games, like, the Luigi's Mansion game, also known as Bad Vibes. There's the Mario Chase, also known as Booty Chase. And my personal favorite is the Animal Crossing game, known as Candy Police. And it was a really early Wii U game, and I think it made a good use of the features of that console, where you could have 4 people playing together on the TV, and then 1 person playing on the gamepad, on opposing teams. And there are also some fun co-op adventures in that game, like the Zelda adventure one that a bunch of us used to play together. So
4 Swords?
It wasn't 4 Swords, but it was like this Zelda adventure where like the person on the gamepad is like an archer, and then everybody else swings swords around. But yeah, Nintendo Land is a really fun multiplayer game.
All right. Well, Justin,
Okay,
what you got number 8?
This next one might be a bit controversial, but I guess it helps that it got a semi-recent Steam release. It is Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Probably, maybe just a little bit surprising, but I really appreciate how the game has been well received, and the presentation, especially compared to the other semi-recent Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that's been released on consoles, Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. That game, unfortunately, while it does have all of the modern, recent summoning mechanics and anime spin-off series behind it, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is still currently within the 5Ds, Dark Side Dimensions world, but at the same time it incorporates all of the very recent cards, like there are cards that either have yet to be released in IRL that are present in Duel Links. There are some of the Tag Force exclusive cards and anime cards that have never been printed, also that have been made available in Duel Links. I think that's been amazing. But more importantly are the care put into the characters themselves, bringing back a lot of the original voice actors from the anime. Like, I'd say a good like 80 to 90% are from the original anime, and that is a feat in of itself. And just being able to bring back that rush of nostalgia, but also retaining that competitive aspect of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. I myself came back into loving Yu-Gi-Oh because I was able to experience and enjoy the recent cards that were released that I never could on the DS games, which was where the last time I was able to have a full-on Yu-Gi-Oh experience that felt satisfying. So all of this combined just made for something that was really memorable, and despite being originally a mobile game that I've clocked in way too many hours, for myself, I have very little regrets regarding, so.
Okay, cool.
That's pretty cool, actually.
All right, Carl, what you got?
Which number is it again?
Number
is
8.
it number
8.
Okay. So mine is going to be Phoenix Wright Dual Destinies. This game was actually the first Phoenix Wright game I ever played, and yes, objection.
No.
I love the story. I love that Athena Sykes and the characters, like the world building, and pretty much like how like psychology plays in the game is incredible. Like, I love the gameplay mechanic, and overall,
Don't forget Simon Blackwell.
Yes, yeah. Oh yeah, how could I forget? Simon Blackwell is actually one of my favorite prosecutors to this day, actually. But of course, there's Edgeworth and stuff like that. But that's not until like the end of the game. But yeah, overall, it's like one of my favorites.
You know what's not my favorite though? Is this stupid course.
Who chose the scores?
Kyle.
Yes.
Aren't we called prosecutors? It's like as you know, the opposite of a defense attorney. We just called them offense attorneys.
Dad jokes.
Good joke.
All right. Well, we are going to number 7, and this is a game that actually,
I hit this Rainbow Road too, by the way.
yeah, actually only one person in this, like, who's listening to this right now currently, actually knows about and seen, and it is Celeste. Celeste is a very hard platformer game that follows a little girl climbing up a very, very tough mountain. Its story, without saying too much about it, it's actually a really good kind of like I don't know how to say it without saying too much. It's a cool story. I enjoyed it for the most part, and I really like the mechanics and how it teaches you how to like get used to each mechanics, and it's tough, but yet at the very end it is very rewarding. So also it has a lot of strawberries.
Ichigo.
Oh yeah, with that Ichigo. All right, Kyle.
Oh gosh. Oh no, Rainbow Road. Oh gosh. Okay. All right. So number 7 on my list is Stardew Valley, which is basically like a farming simulator game that I have on Steam. It's been a couple of years since I've played it now, but I've invested a good amount of time into it. Like, I haven't played other games of this style, like the Harvest Moon series I've never tried before, but Stardew Valley is a pretty chill, like low-key farming simulator game where you can like, you know, there's a lot of different tasks you can do, like growing your farm, interacting with the characters in the game, like becoming greater friends with them, or you can get married and things like that. You can just like go hang out in the mines in that game, like killing monsters and getting resources that can also be used for farming purposes. So it's a game that has a lot of different gameplay elements into it, and sort of a story that involves like moving into this rural community and like making the choice between letting the town kind of survive on its own as a little rural town, or letting like the big corporation come in and take over the town's like traditional culture. So I did play the game for like over 100 hours total. I did feel that the game kind of loses its appeal at a certain point in time, because unlike other kind of virtual life games like Animal Crossing, the game doesn't run on like a real world clock. It just runs on its own in-game clock. And once you get into a certain point of the game's timeline, there's not really very much to do anymore. So like, I put off getting married in that game for a long time, and then I got married, and there was like nothing else to do in the game anymore. So I was like, oh. So, but it is the sort of game that I might revisit at some point in the future. And now that I think there's a multiplayer component that was added to the game that wasn't there when I first started playing it, I think it's the sort of game that I could see myself revisiting.
I'm imagining a spin-off called Mountain Dew Valley.
That's probably like a mod or something that somebody could do.
Probably.
I think there's a lot of goofy mods that people have made for Stardew Valley as well.
Most likely.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So next I go from Yu-Gi-Oh to Pokemon. So here's my take on Pokemon Black and White 2. And this game I felt very compelled by it. It's aside from the Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon XD spin-off, it's the only main, which those games, it's the main series title that decides, hey, let's do what happens 2 years down the future. And the one thing that right off the bat, as I was playing the game that I really enjoyed, was there's this area in the original Black and White called the Village Bridge, and for whatever reason they decide to lock off that area and the surrounding areas as inaccessible until the post game. And so to be able to finally be able to explore those areas and have them be slightly involved as you are in a Pokemon game during the main story, I felt that was very satisfying in and of itself. In addition, you have the rival Hugh, where I just felt like it's kind of strange, but just having a rival character not be an absolute jerk, but also not just be the professor's lab assistant, because that was also a very common trope. And for Hugh, his goal was just to retrieve his sister's Purloin. I just found that to be both endearing, but also just like, hey, I want to root for this guy, and I feel like he has his own story to tell because of it. And so that it very easily drew me in story-wise, as well as obviously seeing the continuation of the Black and White story, and being able to see where all these familiar characters that you've already seen in the original, where they in their story, what's going on with the world, and how Team Plasma is seemingly Neo Team Plasma and coming back to do their nefarious deeds. It all just was very powerful in how it said, hey, we're gonna do it we're gonna change it up, but invite things to be different. And that was also reflected in the Pokemon, whereas in the original Black and White, you were very much restricted to the Gen 5 regional Pokemon, but then in Black and White 2, they brought back Azurill, Lucario, just a bunch of Pokemon from past generations, and allowed you to incorporate into their teams. And just the amount of ways you could customize your teams in that sense, and the way that the developers allowed you to access move tutors, it was very, very compelling in making you want to keep on playing, as well as the post game, which is really addicting thanks to the Pokemon World Tournament, where you could face off against the gym leaders, champions, all in a manner that was very fun and exciting with the remixed teams of said characters.
I still need to play that game. That's definitely a game on my list to play in the future.
Alright, I guess it's my turn now?
Yep.
Alright, so my next game is actually Super Mario Galaxy 2.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I was like,
Galaxy,
oh
Galaxy
no, 2007, and you're like 2, and I was like,
So basically, Galaxy 2 is, well, it's one of the most anticipated sequels I've actually had to wait for. And I still can vividly remember like the days where I actually had to, where I counted down the days before Galaxy came out, or Galaxy 2 came out, because I loved the first game so much. Galaxy 2 introduces Galaxy 2's introduction of Yoshi, I believe is a fantastic addition to the series, and the level design is a bit more arcadey, and I feel like is a bit more, it's a bit more like fun as a result. However, like one thing I do miss though is the fact that, you know, it's supposed to be space, you know, it's Galaxy. It's supposed to be Super Mario Galaxy, yet there's not much of a space thing going on, if you think about it. It's mainly like blue skies and stuff like that, which I like, but I wish there were more space.
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 Space. Yes, space. I know we're in space.
Space. But yeah. So, yeah. Like, if it had a bit more story as well, I feel like it would actually easily beat out Super Mario Galaxy, in my opinion. But yeah, overall, I love it. Love the game.
Agree with you there.
9 out of 10. Not enough space.
All right. So this is where my list starts to be the same a little bit. My number 6 game is actually Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I enjoy a lot of the Smash Brothers, and it's kind of like some of the same reasons. I have the same reasons as like what Carl said before, so I'm not gonna go on it too long. I enjoy Smash Ultimate. I am happy they brought back all the characters and added more, and still supporting it as of right now. And the mechanics are so it's accessible to all type skill levels, but it's still complex, and it's super fun. I enjoyed a lot of the modes. I enjoy it. The thing is that I'm not the most competitive person, and so it's not like super high on my list, but I still overall have fun playing it occasionally here and there. I love playing it. One thing it just makes it like less on my list though is that it just doesn't have like a great story mode compared to what Brawl had. Like, yeah, Subspace Emissary is as if you look at it now, not really a great story in terms of gameplay design, but I still enjoyed seeing all the cutscenes and characters interaction more. And then World Light didn't really do that, so that's what makes it not high on my list, but still up there.
All right, my number 6. Speaking of games that start with the word super, my number 6 is Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. So this is a game that I got when I first got my Switch, and I actually haven't played through like a lot of the post-game content or even attempted like 100% playthrough or anything like that. But I've played through to the point of beating the main story, and I think I would say it's my favorite Mario game, especially Mario platformer since the original Super Mario Galaxy, because I haven't played Galaxy 2, and while I have enjoyed the new Super Mario Brothers games and say like the Super Mario 3D Land 3D World, but they didn't really blow me away in the way that Mario Galaxy did, the first one. But Super Mario Odyssey is a lot of fun. There's these cool gameplay mechanics, like being able to become enemies by taking over them with your hat. The level designs are really cool. There are these kind of quirky level designs where you become they use the mechanics of the 2D Super Mario Brothers games, or Donkey Kong and that kind of thing. The game is visually very beautiful. There's a lot of variants to the level designs. Some are these kind of feudal Japan looking levels. Others are big city settings. So I had a lot of fun with Mario Odyssey, and yeah, at some point I definitely need to get back to it and try to get more of the moods, because there's a lot of content in Super Mario Odyssey that I haven't seen yet.
That's for sure.
Okay, so next I've got a game that I very much did not expect myself to grow attached to, and it is the Somnium Files. As of late, I've been very much grown in appreciation for visual novel games, and this one took me by surprise with how much I got invested into the story and the characters. It's interesting enough because being a murder mystery, there's a point where you start suspecting everyone involved, somewhat similar to what I hear of the Zero Escape series. I very much enjoy the writing from Kotaro Chikoshi, who both wrote and directed the game, and just being able to, without spoiling, there's a lot. There's this very intricate murder plot going on, and while trying to find things out, it very much leads you into thinking very different things, and is very good at tugging at the player's emotions, while also there's going to be a theme for my games coming up, or starting with this one, and that's games that, while they can be serious, they also know how and when to not take themselves so seriously, and I think this game exemplifies that with how absurd some of the themes become, but I think it also works well because of it very much takes place in a future setting where things you see probably would not happen today for a good while, yeah, I just highly recommend it for visual novel lovers.
Carl, you're up.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so my next game is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon: Gates to Infinity. Pretty much like, so this is actually pretty much a weird pick for some, but the reason being is because I chose it is because it's the first Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game that I ever played, and it's also the one that I have the most memories with. Let's just say that it's very user-friendly. Like, it's like pretty much anyone can get into this kind of game. And how should I say? Like, despite the story like not being as great as say PMD2, I feel like it stands on its own. And like, what should I say? It's okay. It's really hard for me to put it into words, but I just gotta say that pretty much the presentation, like for a 3DS game, the presentation, music especially, and some characterization is actually pretty good. I will say it does get a little bit flat, like around the midpoint of the game. Like it kind of gets a little bit samey. Like you kind of know what's gonna happen next. But other than that, I feel like it's a worthy like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, in my personal opinion.
All right. Well, that's an interesting way. Insert game. All right. Well, let's go on to we are now reaching our top 5 games of the 2010s. And so to start us off, I say my number 5 is actually Pokemon Soul Silver. So I grew up with Pokemon since like pretty much the inception of it, and my favorite generation is always going to be Gen 2 because how much content they added, like the final boss being red and all this stuff. Like it is such a good like second generation, and I like when Soul Silver and Heart Gold came out, like I wanted it immediately. It wasn't until much later that I actually got copies of it. But after playing it for a long time, it brought back so many memories. It added so many new mechanics and improved it so much. Also, having a Pokemon be like following you around all the time was such a good addition. That I honestly just like. I think it's as of right now the best Pokemon main series game I have played to this date. And I say as of right now because there's still a few Pokemon main series games I have yet to play.
All right, my number 5 is the To the Moon series, which I decided to include as the full series for the purposes of this list because I just couldn't really decide between including To the Moon or Finding Paradise for a slot in this list, and A Bird Story is just kind of a middle piece game, but I consider the 3 games to be kind of interconnected anyway, so I think including them as one spot on the list kind of makes sense. But Yeah, these games, in terms of gameplay, they can be a bit lacking because they are basically a visual novel game where you just kind of point and click your way through a lot of stuff. But the storytelling in the game is really some of the best storytelling I've ever seen in any game. Just like the characters and their relationships, the writing of the game, the jumping between like kind of quirky, goofy humor and like really serious emotional moments, I think is really well done. And Nick has played all of the To the Moon games on his channel thus far, and I've played through each of them. Actually, I think I've only played Finding Paradise once myself, but I've played To the Moon a couple times, and they're just really excellent story games for anybody who wants to play like an emotional narrative game. And the next game, Imposter Factory, is coming out presumably by the end of this year. I don't know if like the current global crisis will like impact the development or release of the game at all, but I really look forward to the next edition in the series. And Nick and I will have to like do rock paper scissors to decide who gets to play it on their channel.
I pick gun.
All right, Justin.
Okay, so my next game is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I originally was hesitant on including a game with the same series, but I felt like, screw it, I was going to go for it. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2, for people who haven't played it or was learning about it, I will warn you there's a lot of Japanese influence from the anime tropes and the gacha system implemented into the gameplay. But if you can look past that, I think it's one of the best RPGs out there. And part of that is due to one of my biggest issues with the original Xenoblade was how easily it was to accidentally overlevel, because how that game worked was you can explore an area, you'll also gain EXP, and while the game encourages you to explore and thus level up, it can also make battles significantly easier than intended. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 changed this by having this in system where you can use those points that you get from exploring and use those to level up if you would like. It is never imposed on you to gain levels as a reward for exploring or in that sense. And I think a lot of RPGs honestly could benefit from this system because of how much overleveling can sometimes just make games unequivocally way easier than they need to be. But in addition, there are these creatures called blades, and each one of them has a way where you can level them up, and it's a very refined system of how you manage your resources, and there's a lot going on in battle, but there's also a lot of satisfaction when you meet certain requirements and level up your characters. And then there's a lot of thought process gone into the game's side quests. I don't think I've met a game with like this many side quests that are fully voice acted, that have full on like a full on story arc for like these optional characters that you might not even get. And then the actual main story I think is quite compelling, especially with the Torna DLC that was released a year later, that focused on the lore and the backstory of the characters of how some of the characters in the main story came to be who they are. And all of that together, I found that to be very strong, both writing-wise and just in a way made the experience altogether that much more richer.
Awesome.
So, okay. So my next pick is actually Mario Kart 7. I know, surprising, not 8. The reason being is actually primarily because of controls. So I played a lot of Mario Kart Wii back before Mario Kart 7 came out, and I just have to say, like, the Mario Kart 7 pretty much brings back everything that Mario Kart Wii had, but better, like with tighter controls and such. I feel like with Mario Kart 7, I had the best control over like my karts out of any game. Even 8 doesn't compare, in my opinion. So, in addition, like I had so many fond memories playing this game with Sean, and I think with Nick as well at some points.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's pretty much why. Like, oh, actually, there's one more thing I should probably mention as well. I also was trying to improve my time in SNES Rainbow Road. And that track brought back so many memories because oftentimes I would just get burst like multiple times. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's my pick.
Silence as we have to reorient ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had to reorient with my hands. Okay, so frick, I'm going off the edge. Okay, so God dang it. So my number 4 on my list is actually Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. So
Ooh, okay.
it's actually because it's actually because it's like I never played a Zelda game to its complete because I guess I just didn't have attention span and it didn't really appeal to me. Like I tried Ocarina of Time, I tried Twilight Princess, I tried a little bit of Wind Waker, and it was just difficult. And yet Breath of the Wild came by, and my brother got it, and he offered me to play it. And when I played it, I enjoyed the entire open world aspect. Like I really did. The story is not like memorable because of all the paths, but I like the freedom it did. I like the mechanic. I like many of the game decisions they decided to add into the game. So I mean, I guess like overall, it was like my very first Zelda game I ever completed, and I mean I almost completed to 100% other than getting the Korok seeds, but it's definitely a game that I just enjoyed a lot about it and have little complaints. And the DLC at the very end it's all right, but they could definitely have done better, but still doesn't hurt it too much. So that's reason why it's on number 4 on my list. I just like it overall.
All right, my number 4 on my list is Pokemon Soul Silver. So we've hit our first duplicate in this podcast, and I agree with a lot of what Nick said about this game. So I'll be pretty brief. I do like a lot of what they did with the interface of the Gold Silver remix, and Gen 2 is also my favorite generation in the Pokemon series. So I like how Pokemon follow you around. I like what they did with the Pokewalker accessory, like this pedometer that came with the game that you could put your Pokemon into and train them by walking around. And other things, like I think it used the touchscreen interface on the DS better than, say, like Diamond and Pearl did. And it's, I enjoyed the story of the game a lot. After beating the game, I invested a lot of hours into just like trading, battling, doing the little kind of Pokemon Stadium-ish mini games that I don't remember what it's called, but it's near Goldenrod City in the game. There's like these mini games that you can do which involve using the touchscreen.
Yep.
Yeah, and I did try to like catch a lot of the Pokemon in like the Johto decks and try to complete it at 1.2. So I invested more hours into Soul Silver than I did in like Diamond, Pearl, my copy of Pokemon White. Like I just overall enjoyed Soul Silver a lot more than a lot of the other Pokemon games that came out around that time. So I would still consider like the original Gold Silver for nostalgia and Heart Gold Soul Silver for like the kind of DS and post era as being like my favorite games in the Pokemon series.
Cool. All right, Justin, what you got?
Okay, so next for me, I have the continuation of what Carl had with Dual Destinies in Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. So this game, I felt, was kind of similar to how I explained for Fire Emblem Three Houses. I'm a fan of when games take a risk, and this one was very much a risk because you have one of the main protagonists, Phoenix Wright, go all the way outside his Japanifornia home into the Kingdom Shrine, And with this, you have this whole situation of being a foreigner in a different country, and I can somewhat relate to that. But also, you have this divination seance, which very much changed how the gameplay and how you think of how the murder trials. You have to think of it's a very much a different perspective of how you perceive the case. And along with this, there was a very noticeable increase in difficulty, which I both appreciated, but it also, I do remember on one occasion, I think I had to look up the answer for one of the, the court questions, and I was like, dang, I'm legitimately tripped up, and that felt, it's not often where I feel glad or relieved to be kind of stumped by a video game, but in that instance, I wanted to give the game props for doing so. In addition, you kind of do this balancing act between what's going on with Phoenix and the Kingdom of Corrine, and then you have what's going on with Apollo and Athena back in Japanifornia. But then the game at the very end, no spoilers, kind of brings them all together, and it's a very satisfying ending. And it makes me very much look forward to what Capcom and Ace Attorney have going on to the next future games.
All right, Carl, what you got?
Jeez, what the heck was that ending? Holy crap!
You've got second place before me anyway. Whatever.
No, oh my god.
Oh, that was something.
I'm in 10th place right now. I'm in 11th place, dude.
Dude, what's with the AI during the full chart thing?
I put them on hard.
They weren't this hard earlier.
All right, Carl, what you got?
Okay, my next game is Animal Crossing New Leaf. Now the reason being is because, the reason why I didn't put Horizons on here is because, well, first of all, I've played New Leaf more than I have, with New Horizons. So, I have a bit more, so I have more memories with this. I feel like being mayor is awesome. It's also the first Animal Crossing game that I ever played. So, actually, hold on a second, I'm gonna quit out this. Hold on a second, I can't. I need to get my thoughts. Alright, so, with Animal Crossing New Leaf, you have essentially, what should I say? So you have, all these, not only characters, but also, works projects that you can do as mayor. And I feel like that's a great way to add, some personality to your town. If you want to go for, say, if you want to go for, say, a modern theme, or maybe an Asian theme and stuff like that, it's go ahead, do it. You're mayor. As long as you can flip the bill, that is. And that's what I love about the game. And going to the island, every night at around 9 o'clock, just to hunt rare bugs and just to sell it off at a huge profit was amazing. At first it was, but then eventually it kind of got boring. But still, nonetheless, for the majority of the time, it was a lot of fun. And I never really got into I never really collected bugs and donated to the museum, but I did visit some friends' towns, and theirs were extremely amazing to the end. So overall, I felt like this game is a great game to play. In addition to the fact that it was also a good game to play after playing Smash 3DS. It was a good relaxing game, let's just say. So yeah.
I mean,
Finally, I can get my thoughts across. Jesus.
I mean, what? What?
I couldn't think clearly when I'm driving a 200cc.
Yeah, props on you guys for doing this while playing Mario.
That's why
Kart, 'cause I don't think I could do that.
It's not easy. I have a very hard time being articulate while playing this game.
I just need to have my list open in order to like actually pay attention to what I did. And that one time I got 11th place is because I didn't have my list open.
That one time, how should I say? The reason why all my answers were short was because I couldn't think of anything else on the spot.
Yep. Well, I mean, going on to Animal Crossing though, you and Kyle also were partly the reasons why I got Animal Crossing: A New Horizons. So I got me into Animal Crossing for a little bit. But anyway, let's go into our top 3. So
Top 3.
Yep.
Which I will not be in this Mario Kart game. Good God.
I mean, we could go a little smoother, Kyle. Let's go a little bit down just so we can go with our top 3. Let's see. Let's leave the group, and I'm gonna remake it really quickly. But all right. So my number 3 game of 2010 for me is actually Borderlands 2 for PC. So I enjoy this game because it was a fun game for a shooter, and I actually enjoyed all the improvements graphically, and its co-op was a lot of fun. I played it cooperatively with a few friends, and it was definitely one of those games that I just like. The mechanics and gameplay, like, it definitely improved with Borderlands 3, but Borderlands 2 had such a fun amount of characters and it wasn't too much, that I actually enjoyed engaging with them, even though the story was kind of like, how should I say, not really great and memorable, but it was definitely a nice little like thing to just relax with and kind of like just shoot around and I guess, like, you can say, take out your anger on certain things. But yeah, I just overall love the gameplay and the map design and the different bosses just to fight. So, and I have a lot of fond memories with it. So definitely I think it deserves on my top, my 3 place on my list. All right, Kyle.
All right, my number 3 is, this will come as no surprise to people who watch my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/DudesBaby, is
plug.
Night in the Woods, which has become kind of the defining video game of my Twitch channel. It's a game that came out in 2017, but I didn't play it actually until toward the end of last year, and my experience with the game was kind of funny because the first time I played it was in Japanese because I bought it on the Switch eShop, the Japanese eShop, not realizing that I wouldn't be able to switch the language to English after I got the game. So my first playthrough was in Japanese, and since then I've played through it multiple times in English. But yeah, I really love the game. I think the story and the characters are really well done. It's also been a very fun game to play with our friend group as kind of the start of my Twitch channel. Just we've had a lot of fun, like giving voices to the characters. There's a lot of content in that game that I didn't experience for the first time until playing the game as part of my Twitch streams. So there's a lot of content in the game that I've been able to experience blind with the Digits crew. So that's been a lot of fun. And yeah, it's a game that I recommend a lot for people who, again, enjoy story-based games. There's a lot of heart put into crafting the characters of the game, the community that they live in. And at this point, like, the game takes maybe like 6 to 8 hours to beat or something, but I've got like well over 60 hours in the game on my Steam now because of how much I've played it for streams. So, in the words of Grace during one of my streams, "Oh wow, you like Night in the Woods, nerd." That pretty much sums up my experience with that game.
That's funny.
Okay, So for my number 3, I have once again repeated the same series, but I think it's justified somewhat. I have Fire Emblem Awakening. One of my minor complaints about Fire Emblem Three Houses was how the three main lords, Edelgard, Dimitri, Claude, and then you have Byleth, were very much the forefront of the main story, and even though that game very much emphasized, ooh, you gotta pick your students, and then you'll be able to work together, it's very much a Byleth and your respective lord show. And that is not the case in Awakening. Awakening, you very much have your supporting cast help both your protagonists, Robin and Chrom, who, while both capable, they definitely are shown both asking for advice and giving advice in return. And I am seeing a well-rounded cast that bounces off of each other in the main story while overcoming the odds in three major conflicts was very satisfying. There's also a similar RPG mechanic where that I appreciated was how you could become as OP as you wanted if you wanted to grind, or you could take a more challenging path by never doing any of the optional battles and just grinding, not building up your support, and it does very much similar to Pokemon Black and White 2. Like, the way you played definitely impacted your playthrough. And then there's what I also liked was the map design and the difficulty. There are some maps which I forgot to mention, this is my first official Fire Emblem game, and it was a great starting point. And to this day, I still recommend it over Fire Emblem Three Houses as the starting point for newcomers. Also, partly because of the weapon triangle, a more cohesive story, and very, in my mind, pretty clever writing, and being able to go from scenario to scenario in a way that I felt worked well, transitioned well together.
Cool. All right, Carl.
So for my number 3 pick, right?
Yep, number 3.
Yep.
That's actually going to be a repeat. It's going to be Super Smash Bros. For 3DS, specifically 3DS and not Wii U. Now, why is that the case? And also, why is it higher than Ultimate? Well, the primary reason is because, well, I've actually sunk the most hours. This is easily the most time I spent into a Smash Bros. Game. Oftentimes, this is also the first game that I actually played competitively for the first time. And so, like, pretty much every single day, like, oftentimes, I would actually just boot up training mode, and I would just pick, like, maybe Captain Falcon or something like that, and I would actually just practice movements. And honestly, it was actually a lot of fun to move around. Most of you know, like, foxtrotting, like, especially like trot dancing, where you essentially just use foxtrots into a pseudo dash dance. It was actually kind of cool because it wasn't exactly easy to pull off, but if you can actually pull it off, it's actually really satisfying, especially with perfect pivots. Like, the amount of tech it has is nowhere near as much as, say, brawls and melees, but I feel like what it lacks in makes up for it in a really fun experience, especially with the fact that it's portable. It's the first portable Smash game. So oftentimes I would just go into a group that I would find in the cafeteria at my community college, and I would just ask, hey, do you want to play Smash? And oftentimes they'll say, yeah, let's go ahead and play Smash. So it introduced me to a lot of friends that I actually have to this day. So, like, what else? Oh, also, like, with the addition of, like, DLC, like, this also applies to the Wii U version, but, I easily played more than, like, of all the characters in this version. Simply because it was portable. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just, like, a lot of fun. And if it was just put into comparison, this is easily this is my most played game on my 3DS currently. even though I played Animal Crossing New Leaf a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I think it's like around 300 to 400 hours.
Jeez, I don't even have any hours on any of my games played.
And remember, this is 3DS.
Yeah. Um. So okay, so my number 2 game is actually a game that I played not too long ago, back in March. It's actually One Shot. So I actually enjoyed this game because I've heard back in the day that out of all the other games, like some big games that was really big, like underrated and emotional, like To the Moon. One Shot was definitely a game up there in terms of, hey, you should guys play this game. And so I decided, like, as a dedicated stream, I dedicated like 8 to 9 hours of playing this game on stream with people. And I honestly don't regret ever like staying up so late just to play that game, because it told a story that I wasn't expecting at first. And it actually got pretty like emotional. You got really connected with the characters around here and there, even some of the smaller ones. It had some nice little jokes here and there. And its gaming mechanics, without going into spoilers for anybody who has not seen or played the game, its mechanics really, it's different compared to a lot of games, and it actually is something that utilizes many different things from this game that I tried to show throughout my entire stream. And you actually really use this as well as play, like, get to know the character that you're playing as. So I honestly think it as a really great game and one of my favorites to like kind of like just reminisce about. Like, I don't know, it's definitely like one of my favorite games to ever have played in my life, but it's definitely takes my number 2 spot in my of the games of the last decade.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's so high up. That game is also in the itch bundle that I have, so I definitely need to give it a try myself sometime soon.
It's definitely a game.
I missed a lot of the story when you played it. But
yeah,
I liked how meta the game was. So
I do plan to still upload chunks of it so people can just like watch it without watching the full 8 hours. But it's definitely a game I recommend if you're willing to play it. I recommend try to dedicate the full 8 hours to play it. Like, it's definitely a game that's worth playing in one go.
I don't know if I can pull it off that long in one sitting, so I could just I could stream my own playthrough because I missed so much of what happened when you played, and I can do it in like multiple sittings.
And that's totally fine too.
Yeah, I'll have to work that out somehow.
Yep, but yeah, it's definitely a game.
All right, to continue with my list, so here's another dupe. So my number 2 is Animal Crossing New Leaf on the 3DS.
Ooh, okay.
Which should come as no surprise, really, because I think I've mentioned before, like, I also have an absurd amount of hours in New Leaf. Like, it's... Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to choose that course. New Leaf is probably, like... I don't know, I've played a lot of New Horizons, too, but New Leaf could very well be, like, the most hours I've put into one particular video game. I played New Leaf a lot, and I got it toward the end of my freshman year of college, and, like... There's just so many like features that I think really perfected the Animal Crossing formula for that game that kept me coming back to it from time to time. So I like Carl said, he didn't really do as much of the collectible stuff, but I completed every part of the museum in that game except for the paintings, because those are just like getting access to paintings in that game is so random that you don't always have days where you can buy them. But yeah, the customization to your island, or not your island, your town, your village in that game. There's a lot of customization you can do as the mayor. I always took the path of the beautiful ordinance you can put in to like make sure that flowers don't die and you can grow them really easily. But the game caters well to other play styles, like being able to have the shop hours adjusted to be earlier or later or certain things you could do to get more money in the game. Like Carl, I also did the strats of going to the island in that game and catching a bunch of rare nighttime bugs and making so many bells to pay off my mortgage.
Just make bank.
So it's, yeah, New Leaf was an excellent game and my favorite game on the 3DS system by far. I would say that I've played New Horizons a lot since it came out, and I enjoy New Horizons a lot too, and I mean, Animal Crossing is the sort of series that can make improvements in each new installment that comes out, so I think New Horizons probably is the most complete game in the franchise so far, but New Leaf is the one because it's, you know, it's been out longer and I had more time to like play it through different parts of the year, so it's the one I've gotten, I guess I could say the most complete experience because I've had the time to play New Leaf. Like I never cheated, so I always played at the actual in-game clock. So like I've played the game in spring, summer, fall, and winter. So New Horizons I haven't gotten to have that experience of playing in different seasons yet. But yeah, I love the Animal Crossing series. I've played them more so in a dedicated way since City Folk, but I basically started by borrowing a friend's copy of Wild World on the DS, and it's a great series that they've improved with each new installment, and New Leaf is one that I have a lot of fond memories of. Alright, Justin.
Yeah, so my final two will really exemplify how much I particularly personally love both crossovers and character interactions in games. And it was actually pretty tough deciding between the number 1 and 2 spots. But yeah, Persona Q, which is about as crazy as a crossover game as Kingdom Hearts. You have the Persona 3 cast, you have the Persona 4 cast, but you have them, for one thing, on the Nintendo system and not on the PlayStation console. But also, you have them, the combat based off of Etrian Odyssey, which is an entirely different franchise on its own, and just it's just so many variables mixed together that, for one thing, I was ecstatic to see the announcement that it was a game, that it was even being possible. It's basically a fan fiction game, right? And yeah, so one of the factors on why I prefer it over the sequel, Persona Q2, which incorporates the Persona 5 cast, is that that game did not have the English dub, and I've grown particularly fond of the English dubs of the cast of Persona 3 and 4. In addition, the gameplay was very different for a Persona game, and that's not just because of the Etrian Odyssey aspect. It's also because you very early on have this sub-persona mechanic, which is kind of strange, but I kind of compare it to Pokemon, where each party member of your team of 5 can equip a persona of their own due to, well, plot reasons, and in doing so, they then can gain an additional skills that they very much would not have normally in their base games, like Yosuke being able to use electricity, Zeo skills, when he's generally weak to those, and just crazy interactions, customizations. You have this really silly scene that I still remember, where you have like a swap meet, which is like something I've seen in like several TV shows, but to see it play out in a game and to have really funny interactions that are both in character and voice, and it was a very good feel game for the most part. But when it got to the climax, it got pretty dark, as most Persona games do. But it ended up being a very satisfying story from beginning to end, and I would only hope that Atlas would somehow make more Persona spin-offs in that fashion.
Nice.
Yeah, I never got to finish Q, but it was that game is quite a trip.
I'm halfway through the game on the 3rd dungeon, so I still need to complete that game. So, yeah. All right, Carl, what's your number 2?
So my number 2 spot was on my top 10 games of the 2010s, is a duplicate, Super Mario Odyssey. I rate this higher than Galaxy 2 Pretty much because this game comes close to actually toppling Galaxy 1. So, Odyssey offers pretty much a near open world experience that I actually really enjoy, because I've actually never played Super Mario 64. I played a bit of 64 DS, but this game pretty much shows like how open world level design can work, and it works very, very well. The power-ups in that game is amazing. When I say power-ups, I specifically mean the captures, because the captures are amazing. It's very creative, and a lot of the moons, although most of them are a bit bloated, and a bit, repetitive, such as, just ground pound in this glow area to find a power moon. Some of the moons are very tricky to get, but it's a lot of fun. And I've actually 100% of the game, which is, and I've enjoyed it from beginning to end. I can't exactly say the same for Galaxy 2, because that one I felt like I had to go through a gauntlet of challenges that I didn't exactly like. For example, the Daredevil runs in Galaxy 2, I didn't really like. There really isn't that kind of challenge in Odyssey, which I actually liked. Let's see. The story, well, let's just say that it is very simple, but I feel like it's a step above than Galaxy 2. Not quite Galaxy, but it is definitely better than Galaxy 2 in my opinion. Because there is a clear narrative, and it's a bit more concrete. Like, it doesn't feel like it's just sitting in the background. You actually feel like you're part of the story. In the sense of a Mario. So, and honestly, the best thing about Odyssey is Mario's controls. This is the smoothest Mario's ever played. Because the controls are extremely tight, you have a lot of movement options, and honestly, it feels like you can just do a lot of things, out of a jump. And I love it when games do that, when they pretty much let you play, and experiment around, and you discover things that they didn't exactly design, but is very useful, and also very fun to do.
All right, well, with that, we are now in our top #1 game of the 2010s. And to start it off, I'm just going to have to say this out loud. We have our very first triple dupe. My #1 game.
It's gonna be Tomodachi Life, bro. Just kidding.
Is Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch. I don't think this is gonna be a quadruple dupe, but anyway, not to repeat on what Kyle and Carl said. The reason why I put it on my top list of 2010 is because that it's controls. It doesn't have the most emotional story ever. But I did enjoy the story of Bowser's wedding. I did enjoy the engagement of everything, as well as it's the controls are just really fun. It's open world. It did so much. I 100%ed this game as far as I could go, and it was definitely a game that I recommend to any Switch owners. And it just felt really good to just play around. And I remember playing it on stream, and a lot of people had fun watching it. I had fun replaying it, even though I beat the game before. So, yeah, it just has a lot of replayability. And this, I enjoy especially trying to attempt certain skills, and it even rewards you during specific skills. You can say speed running skills or whatnot. It was a lot. It's really rewarding, and it has a lot of stuff to play around with.
Alright, this explains why Nick started laughing when I said Super Mario Odyssey was on my list. I'm like, why do I hear some giggling in the background? But that was the reason why.
Yeah.
A thing to note is that whenever we're reading some sort of top 10 list, if Nick says, ooh, interesting, in reaction to something on your list, that means it's because it's on his list too.
Well,
But
I'll keep that in mind next time.
maybe.
all right, my number one game from my list, number one game of the 2010s, is The Last of Us on the PS3. This is a game that I played about a year after it came out, and I was a bit late to the party, a bit late to the hype. But my dad had bought this game around the time that it came out, and I ended up playing it the following year when I was home for summer vacation. And this was after my freshman year of college. And I just kind of picked up the game randomly one day, like just kind of looking for something to play. And I knew it was a zombie apocalypse game, and that it supposedly had a good story, but I didn't really know much about it beyond that. And I admittedly kind of picked it up thinking like, oh, well, like what's the best this game could be? Like great story, ooh, zombie game, ooh. But like in the first 20 minutes of the game, it just hits you with like the most intense plot twist and tragedy ever. Like there's like a top 10 list, and I'm sure they have been made actually. You could very well make lists of just like the most like touching or tragic or moving parts of the game, because it's just a very rich story. The characters as individuals and their development, and the development of the characters with their relationships, is really something that blew me away. And it became a thing where I would play through the game again each time I came home for summer vacation. So I played it like after freshman year and then sophomore and junior year. So I played it like 3 times in total. And gameplay wise, I think it's a lot of fun. Like it plays really well as an action game with some stealth elements, and like some gameplay elements that come in kind of like a one-time thing, like some sniping kind of sections, or like parts where you're like hanging upside down from a rope and you got to shoot at things. So the gameplay is a lot of fun. I'm sorry, I got to collect my thoughts here. Just the story and the characters are really rich. The writing, it's just overall really excellent game. And I haven't gotten around to playing or watching The Last of Us 2. I've heard some people say that they prefer the first, but they still think the second one is great. And it's the sort of game where if you have to discuss whether the second game is better than the first for The Last of Us, then you know the sequel is probably something really great, because The Last of Us just completely blew me away every time I played it. And yeah, I know that Nick is planning on playing it on his stream sometime, like maybe in like Spook Month or something this year. It's a game that I think other people in our group would really enjoy as well.
Spooky.
Very nice. Okay, so for my number one, I've got Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which was on that fabled Wii U console. Yeah, unlike Persona Q, where I very was on the edge of my seat for waiting for every time a new trailer dropped. This game, as anyone who has seen gameplay or has played it themselves, they can immediately tell that the original announcement trailer for the game is very different from the end result, and because the reason is that it's very brazenly anime, it's pop idol, it tries to take place in modern day Tokyo, Shibuya, that setting, and it's the SMT Fire Emblem crossover that I don't think anyone ever expected, and I think it ended up being it's very niche, but I think for anyone who tries it out, I think you'll find something that you'll like about it. There's a lot of detail put into both the characters' costumes, as well as they literally have weapons that you can upgrade and equip over the course of the game, and each one of them has a unique design, and to me that level of detail just blew me away. Very few games will do that if they're not like a Monster Hunter or very much solely based on that style. But for JRPG to do that, I thought that was very, very bold, and I love that. The story isn't the selling point. However, the character interactions and like how the characters would message you and have their own personalized emojis, I thought was a really nice touch. The combat is very fast and great for people who maybe aren't complete RPG lovers, and it's nuanced in the way that how combat works different, but also similar to both the Shin Megami Tensei series, and the level of the voice acting and the presentation to the music videos that are in this idle-based game are just fantastic, and I think those will stick with me for a very, very long time.
Awesome.
All right, last game of the episode.
No pressure.
Carl.
Yep. So my top game of the 2010s is another duplicate, believe it or not. It's the Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. This game. Oh boy, this game. It's okay, just to put. So this game is the first open world game I have ever played, and it's also the second Zelda game I have ever completed, that I've ever beaten, like from start to finish. The first one being Ocarina of Time. However, I actually prefer this game over Ocarina of Time for a multitude of reasons. For one, it gives you so much freedom, like it doesn't tell you where to go. Like the game believes you're smart, and and believes that you'll experiment around with the game's mechanics. So, like, the physics engine in the game is incredible. Like, the way that's designed, it's no wonder the game, like, was delayed so many times because of, one reason being, this physics system. The way that you just interact with the world just logically makes sense. In fact, it makes so much sense to the point where it's actually beginner friendly. Like, I've seen a video where they made where this guy made his wife play Breath of the Wild, who really isn't a gamer, played for the first time, and whatever she did, she thought, okay, so there's, like, for example, let's say that there's a campfire out there. Okay, she needs to create some amount of fire. Well, okay, what happens if I just... Now, normally, some people may shoot, like, say, a fire arrow, but instead, she just stood right next to the piece of wood, and it's still lit up. Like, that's how interactive it is. You can just literally have the item out, and it will interact with the environment. You can bait out enemies, and you can also upgrade equipment, gather new materials and weapons. There's just so many things to do in the game. Granted, there are the Quark Seeds, which there's a lot of them, 900 of them. I still haven't gotten all of them, but honestly, like, the way that those puzzles are designed is pretty clever. Like, it's not hard. Rather, it's more like, okay, how does this logically make sense? Kind of puzzle. And honestly, like, all of those elements combined makes for a very interesting world to explore. Which is what I was afraid of when I first heard that the game was going to be open world. I was like, okay, how are they going to make traveling in it interesting? Well, they managed to do it. And since it's like pretty much like one of few games that can make traveling interesting, then that has to mean something. And honestly, this is the reason why Zelda Breath of the Wild is my number 1 pick with the 2010s.
Damn it, I lost as soon as Carl finished his list.
All according to plan.
Alright, alright, this was fun. I mean, we had some dupes, but I think we also had some variety between our lists, which is why I figured, Justin would be a good guest for this, because he's played games that Nick and I wouldn't be as familiar with. Carl was a last-minute addition, but he added some variety to the list as well, so... And I think,
Thanks, I'm the fourth wheel, okay.
Well, that's kind of literally what you were.
Cars run
as
on
Carl,
4 wheels.
so.
It's a compliment.
You were literally the third set of wheels in our Mario Kart game. So, but yeah, I think Nick said he has some honorable mentions, and I included some honorable mentions for my list as well. So I guess we can read those off.
Oh yeah.
Oh, how many?
I just have a bunch. I can just name them very quickly without really elaborating for some of mine.
Yeah, same here.
'Cause
So
some of mine were included on other people's lists as well. So.
yep, exactly. Kyle, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. So my honorable mentions, I have Persona 5 because I include it as an honorable mention because I've been playing the game with a friend, so I've just watched him play it, so I haven't really experienced the gameplay for myself. I got Minecraft and Terraria on there as well, Portal 2, so these are all in Nick's list. A couple just kind of experimental indie games that I really enjoyed that are on Steam were The Stanley Parable, The Beginner's Guide, Papers, Please, and the Emily's Away series. And another is the Eco and Shadow of the Colossus collection, which are remasters of games that both came out on the PlayStation 2 in the 2000s. But the remaster is a great way to experience those games, and it also runs more smoothly on the PS3 than at least Shadow of the Colossus had some frame rate issues on PS2. So the remaster collection really fixed that and made it the best possible version of the game that you can play. And let's see, was there anything else? Oh, The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds, I think, is kind of like an underrated Zelda game for the 3DS that I enjoyed a lot. All right, that was my honorable mentions.
So my honorable mentions are Super Mario Galaxy 2, Grease, To the Moon, A Way Out. It's like a cooperative gameplay. I really liked it. Funny enough, Five Nights at Freddy's, cause yeah. Tomodachi Life, Undertale. This is a game I actually played on stream, but I only think out of everyone, James was the only one who saw this entire thing. It was super liminal. Just to briefly go, it's basically a puzzle first-person game that really plays with perspective to solve puzzles. Then I got Nintendo Land, Poker Night 2, and of course, how could I not mention this? Overcooked 2.
Oh no.
I
Top 10 yeet games.
Top 10.
Top 10 games that'll make you yeet your controller.
Or yell at the screen.
That could actually be a topic for a podcast too. Top 10 games to make you yeet your controller.
Yep.
I like that idea.
Yep.
I'll just quickly list off 3 games that came to mind for me. I came up. Breath of the Wild, Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Persona 4 Golden.
Ooh. Nice. Carl, do you have any?
Yeah. 2 comes to mind. No, actually 3. It's the Xenoblade series.
Ooh.
I actually forgot about them.
Well, you made your list in like 10 minutes, so that's fair.
Yeah. So,
but you made Justin upset.
I'm sorry, but
It's fine.
But okay, if I have to order them, it would be Xenoblade X, and then it would be Xenoblade 2, and then Xenoblade 1.
For a second, I thought you were saying X was the best.
Well, I mean, it's not a bad game.
X is some good points.
It's a good game. It's just not the kind of Xenoblade game that I would play again.
Same.
Yep. All right. With that, we got our top 10 lists. Thank you everyone so much for watching RetroBound Podcast. We'll tune in next time with another episode with worst future discussing. We have yet to decide that. But overall, I would say this was a good little side distraction with some, not so much raging on voice, but you heard some.
Rage at the end
You
there.
can just imagine the raging.
All you got was that playing this game just made us all a lot less articulate while reading our list.
A little bit.
Except for Justin.
Next time, maybe a list I'll take less seriously. Maybe I'll join in with the madness.
Yeah, maybe so. But thank you everyone so much for listening. My name is Nick.
I'm Kyle. Thank you everybody for watching. You can catch this as a highlight on Nick's Twitch channel later. depending on the game, mostly on the game that's being played for a podcast, this could also, we might end up doing some episodes on my channel, which is twitch.tv/digitsbb. So we might go back and forth between the two channels, but we can at least keep them, all the episodes of this podcast in the same collection.
Yep.
So follow Nick's channel and follow mine. Thanks to Carl and Justin for being first-time guests on this podcast.
Of course.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
And you can catch us next time. And Nick, I actually kind of like the idea of doing top 10 games to make you yeet your controller. So that's certainly something we can do in a future episode.
Well, maybe maybe next.
How about a top 10 game? How about top 10 games that you didn't like within the past? Was it within the 2010s?
Ooh.
Like your top 10 least favorite?
Yeah.
That's gonna be hard.
That has some potential as well. Yeah, but
There were a lot.
yeah,
There's
so
a few games I can think of.
yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. Not necessarily every episode of this podcast will be a top 10 list. Nick and I have other ideas that we floated around before, and want to take a look at our potential topics list, because there are some stuff that we planned out like even as far back as like last year when we first created this podcast that we haven't gotten around to yet. So we'd like to make this a more frequent thing in the future, maybe like one show a month or something.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So, yeah, is there anything else you need to say, Nick?
No, I think we're good. We're gonna hand it off here.
Thank you everybody for watching RetroBound Podcast. Blazer Gamer 112, Digits, BB, Justin, Carl. Boom, RetroBound Podcast.
Take care. And that's the end of it. All right, cool. Cut off there, Emoto.